If you want to win a Nobel Prize or change the world or become this once-in-a-generation genius, the very first thing you need to do is put down your books.
Right.
Yeah, you need to literally walk into the kitchen and wash the
It
dishes.
sounds so backwards, doesn't it?
It totally does, because we spend so much of our time trying to figure out how to stand out. I mean, it feels like everyone is constantly hunting for this secret cheat code.
Oh, absolutely. A cheat code to just bypass the mundane.
Exactly. To skip straight to being amazing, you see these flashy, curated profiles everywhere, people desperately trying to sound like the smartest person in the
It's
room.
using the most complicated vocabulary possible.
Right. We just desperately want to be seen as special.
And that constant sprinting away from being normal is exhausting.
Yeah.
And paradoxically, it's the very thing keeping most people completely average. When you put all your effort into avoiding the baseline realities of life because you think they're beneath you.
You don't actually elevate yourself.
No, you don't. You just end up hovering in this weird, superficial middle ground. You get disconnected from the very foundation that makes true brilliance possible in the first place.
So today we are doing a deep dive into a single, really profound source that argues exactly that point. It's an essay written back in 2012 by an author named Su Feng.
Translated by Kung Long and edited by Carrie, right?
Oh, yeah. And the title gives away the punchline immediately. It's called, "It is hard to become extraordinary if you cannot be ordinary."
It is such a masterful piece of philosophical writing. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes this lofty, almost untouchable concept of greatness, and it just drags it right down into the mud.
Yeah, it forces us to examine the everyday unglamorous tasks we actively try to outsource or avoid, and it frames them not as distractions from our greatness, but as the mandatory prerequisites for it.
The absolute required building blocks.
Exactly. So our mission today is to figure out the actual mechanism behind this. We're going to unpack why skipping the boring basics of life is a massive trap.
And how embracing the utterly mundane might actually be the ultimate hidden engine for achieving the extraordinary.
Yeah, for anyone out there who feels crushed by the pressure to be an instant rule-breaking genius. Okay, let's unpack this.
So to understand Yufeng's argument, we have to look really closely at how the text defines our starting point.
The ordinary.
Right, the ordinary. And also our ultimate destination, which is the extraordinary. The author strips away all those negative connotations we usually attach to the word ordinary.
Because normally we think ordinary means, like, mediocre.
Yeah, or just bad. But here, it isn't defined as mediocre at all. The ordinary is simply what is common, normal, and fundamentally foreseeable.
Foreseeable, I like that word.
Yeah, it's a state where a person doesn't have any special abilities on display. Everything they do just follows the established rules.
I mean, I always assumed ordinary meant settling for less, but the text frames it more like the baseline code of a software program.
That's a good way to put it.
It just means the predictable functioning of a system. And on the other side, you have the extraordinary, which the text defines as outstanding, distinct, and possessing an extremely special quality.
And the dividing line here really seems to be that idea of predictability. That is the core distinction.
Right.
The behavior of an ordinary person is foreseeable because it relies on recognized patterns. But an extraordinary person operates in a way that is just hard to understand or describe at first glance.
Their behavior is special.
Exactly. And their insights are entirely unconventional. Shuofeng actually uses this beautiful floral metaphor to visualize this.
Oh, the meadow and the cliff.
Yes. He describes the ordinary as a flower on a vast meadow. You look out and you see millions of them. They are completely expected.
But the extraordinary is a blooming, exotic flower clinging to a sheer cliff face.
Right. It takes your breath away because it defies the normal rules of the landscape. It shouldn't be there, but it is.
You know, reading this, I kept thinking about it in terms of architecture.
Oh, how so?
Well, like, everyone wants to be the shiny glass penthouse of a skyscraper.
Oh, yeah.
They want the 360-degree views, they want to be up in the clouds, but they completely forget that the penthouse is entirely supported by a massive, gray, incredibly boring concrete foundation.
A foundation that is literally buried deep in the dirt.
Exactly. You don't get the penthouse without spending months digging a giant hole and pouring concrete first.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. The text explicitly states extraordinary comes from ordinary.
Right.
Shuofeng uses a very similar structural metaphor, noting that the ordinary is the solid vast land and the extraordinary is the vegetation growing out of it.
The ordinary is being down to earth, and the extraordinary is flying above the clouds.
Yes. But there is a vital cognitive reason for this progression. The text warns that if you are not familiar with the original basic state of things, you will never develop truly unique insights.
Because you can't have distinguished, unconventional solutions if you don't deeply understand why the convention existed in the first place.
You have to know the rules before you can break them.
Yeah, break them in a way that is brilliant rather
Yeah.
than just chaotic. If you don't understand the structural engineering of the building, the ordinary math, your shiny glass penthouse is just gonna collapse.
It's going to shatter.
Hmm.
Consider the cognitive bandwidth required to be truly innovative.
Mm-hmm.
If you are constantly struggling with the basics, your brain has no processing power left to spot the unusual patterns or connections that lead to genius.
So mastery of the ordinary automates the baseline.
Exactly. It frees up your mind to finally look at the cliff face and figure out how to climb it.
Okay, so if the ordinary is the concrete foundation, what does pouring that concrete actually look like in our daily lives?
That's the big question.
Yeah, how do we build that foundation without just being incredibly bored all the time?
Well, the author gives us a highly relatable example to ground this concept: cooking.
Oh, right, the cabbages.
Yeah, he points out that you absolutely cannot make a delicious meal, one with excellent flavor, aroma, and color, without mastering utterly mundane ingredients.
He specifically lists oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, cabbages, and carrots.
Very basic stuff.
I found this part so revealing because we've all seen, like, trendy chefs try to cover up a bad dish with liquid nitrogen or weird foams or ingredients you can't even pronounce.
Whoa, the smoke and mirrors of fine dining?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Xie Feng strips it right back to cabbages and carrots. There is nothing inherently special about a cabbage.
Yeah, there isn't.
The extraordinary meal isn't created by discovering a magic unknown vegetable.
The magic is entirely in the execution. It is a profound mastery of heat, timing, and the precise application of salt to that cabbage.
Right.
When you use simple ingredients, you cannot hide your flaws. If you undercook a carrot, everyone knows.
Everyone at the table is going to notice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mastering the basics forces a level of humility and fine-tunes your attention to detail in a way that using luxury ingredients just doesn't.
And from cooking, the author transitions into an area where the trap of avoiding the basics is super rampant.
Writing and communication.
Yes. We have all encountered the superficial writer. Maybe we've even been that person in an academic paper or, a corporate business email.
Oh, definitely.
The text points out that a superficial writer tries to impress the reader by using ambiguous, flowery language.
Or by inventing complicated new concepts to sound profound.
Right. They do that because they are trying to simulate the cliff flower without actually doing the climbing.
That's exactly it. The author argues that this approach lacks true connotative meaning. It is just empty.
True greatness in writing comes from mastering plain words.
When you use simple language, your actual idea has to be brilliant. You can't hide a weak thought behind a bunch of jargon.
There is a line in the essay that I wrote down because it perfectly captures this dynamic.
Let's hear it.
The quote is, "An amazing article does not use special words, and a great man with excellent quality only shows his nature."
What's fascinating here is how the author connects that literary trap directly to human psychology and behavior.
Oh, this part was huge.
Yeah, people do the exact same thing in their daily lives that the insecure writer does on the page. They try to manufacture uniqueness purely through their fashion,
Or their quirky vocabulary?
right? Or a carefully curated persona, while simultaneously refusing to do the smallest or most menial jobs.
It is a defense mechanism. If I dress wildly and use huge words, you might think I am a genius.
And you won't notice that I don't actually know how to do the fundamental work.
Exactly. The author is brutally honest about this phenomenon. He notes that people who put all their effort into performing uniqueness while avoiding the baseline are superficial.
They lack inner depth because they skipped the very friction that creates depth.
That superficiality doesn't just make you a bad cook or an annoying writer, though. According to Xu Feng, it actually causes a deeper psychological rot.
Yes, the soul garden.
Right. If you are constantly faking it on the outside and avoiding the basics, what is happening internally? The text calls this internal landscape the soul garden.
And the soul is envisioned as a literal garden. If we are not actively grounded in the ordinary, that garden becomes completely choked with weeds.
And the author doesn't just mean general unhappiness here.
No, he lists very specific weeds: jealousy, selfishness, laziness, greed, complaining, comparing, and getting angry.
Think about the mechanics of those specific emotions. When you feel entitled to skip the boring stuff because you believe you're naturally meant for the penthouse.
You naturally start comparing yourself to others.
Yeah. You get wildly jealous of their success. You complain when your boss asks you to do a spreadsheet because you feel it is beneath your intellect.
You get angry when the world doesn't recognize your supposed brilliance.
You basically resent the cabbage because it isn't a truffle.
That is a perfect way to put it. Entitlement is the fertilizer for all those weeds, and the consequence of letting them take over is severe.
Really severe.
The author states that a person whose soul garden is overgrown with jealousy and complaining will never be able to experience the joy and delicacy of life.
They are so obsessed with being special that they become miserable.
Exactly.
But wait, I'm hearing this and playing devil's advocate for you listening. Doesn't this just sound like a convenient excuse to tell people to settle?
How do you mean?
Well, is the author basically telling us to kill our big ambitions, happily wash the dishes, and never aim for anything bigger or better in our lives?
It almost sounds like a philosophy designed to keep people in their place.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the natural friction everyone feels when they first encounter this idea.
Right,
But the text makes a crucial distinction to resolve it.
right.
Shuifeng is absolutely not telling you to kill your ambition. In fact, he explicitly encourages reaching the extraordinary state.
He even mentions aiming for things as monumental as becoming a great man of the time or winning a Nobel Prize.
You don't get much more ambitious than the Nobel Prize.
Right. So how does he reconcile washing dishes with winning the highest intellectual award on Earth?
By clarifying that the path to the Nobel Prize goes straight through the dishes, how does a scientist actually win that award?
It isn't by sitting in a leather chair trying to think a magical, unprecedented thought.
No. The author points out you get there by committing to the grueling, utterly ordinary, daily grind of basic research and testing.
It is thousands of hours of pipetting clear liquids into tiny plastic tubes over and over again.
Yes, the secret isn't finding a glamorous special task. The secret is delivering first-class quality within those deeply ordinary tasks.
If you want to be a great figure of your time, you must work hard on daily jobs. You take the mundane action, but you execute it with such care.
With precision.
And such a total lack of resentment because you have weeded your soul garden that the ordinary act transforms.
You strive for absolute excellence while remaining entirely down to earth.
Because if you cannot deliver excellence on the ordinary level, you're going to be stuck just performing greatness without ever achieving it.
Okay, so knowing the theory behind this is fantastic, but Zhuifeng doesn't just leave us with philosophical metaphors about gardens and Nobel Prizes.
No, he does not.
He gives us a highly literal, physical prescription to ensure we don't float away into our own egos.
The physical grounding in this text is relentless. The author lists incredibly specific, tactile tasks that we must not shy away from to maintain our connection to the foundation.
Sweeping floors,
Washing clothes.
fetching water, carrying manure.
Moving bricks. Digging soil. Cooking. Growing grass and planting flowers. These are not metaphorical ideas.
No, these are physical, dirty, repetitive human chores.
And the boldest advice he gives regarding these chores is highly symbolic of our modern condition. He says, take off the business suit and put on work clothes.
The business suit functions almost like armor, doesn't it?
It totally does. It is this manufactured outward symbol of importance. It broadcasts to the world, I do not touch the dirt. I'm in the idea person.
I am above the physical friction of the world.
Right.
But the dirt is exactly where the value is generated.
Yeah.
If you keep the suit on, you remain completely disconnected from the reality of how things are built.
Yeah.
The author makes a fascinating conceptual leap here, bringing in the idea of becoming a celestial.
A celestial.
Yeah, in this philosophical context, a celestial represents the ultimate state of transcendent mastery, someone who has fully realized the extraordinary.
But Xu warns that we must be able to deliver excellence while we are still merely human.
Meaning we have to master our grounded mortal existence. We have to deal with the physical realities of life flawlessly.
Because if we fail at the basic human tasks, we can never transcend them to reach that celestial extraordinary level.
You cannot bypass the human experience to become something higher. You have to master it.
Here's where it gets really interesting for anyone trying to navigate our current culture. Think about how utterly obsessed we are today with life hacks.
Oh, it's everywhere.
We have endless blogs, books, and entire industries dedicated to finding the shortcut. The secret biohacked morning routine.
The unlisted dietary supplement.
The productivity app that will magically do the work for you. We are addicted to the continuous search for the magic bullet.
We want the results of the work without the friction of the work.
Yes.
And Sua Feng explicitly commands us not to do this. He writes, "You should learn common knowledge and do not look for special methods and read special books."
Do not look for special methods. I mean, that is basically heresy in today's optimization culture.
It really is. Instead, he instructs us to do something that sounds almost too simple to be effective.
What's that?
He says, behave normally. Eat, drink, work, sleep. Do not attempt to violate the laws of nature.
In a world where people are trying to hack their sleep cycles to only need 4 hours,
Oh.
or drinking engineered sludge instead of chewing a carrot.
Simply behaving normally and respecting the biological laws of nature actually becomes a radical act of discipline.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is an incredibly liberating philosophy.
It really takes the pressure off.
Think about the massive weight of performance anxiety this lifts off a person's shoulders. You do not have to shock the public. You do not have to amaze the world overnight with a viral, unprecedented thought. The text literally says, do not attempt to surprise the public, but rather be happy just to do ordinary jobs and be an ordinary person.
By refusing to avoid those basic building blocks, by happily and excellently sweeping the floor, chopping the cabbage, and doing the basic research,
You naturally and inevitably begin your journey toward the extraordinary.
you are pouring that concrete foundation so thick and so strong that the penthouse eventually has no choice but to build itself.
It forces a complete perspective shift. The attempt to skip the line is exactly what keeps you stuck at the back of it.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive right now?
I think the ultimate synthesis here is that the greatest shortcut to being well-informed, or the shortcut to being truly great,
Is internalizing the fact that there are absolutely no shortcuts.
exactly. Whether we are talking about cooking with basic cabbages, sweeping the actual dirt off your floor, or conducting the boring, repetitive baseline research for a massive project at work, the extraordinary is not a different category of action.
No, it's not.
It is just the ordinary, executed with extreme dedication, a total lack of ego, and first-class quality.
It is the difference between writing a book by trying to invent confusing new jargon to sound smart versus using plain, everyday words arranged with such devastating honesty and precision that they change the reader's life.
Both writers use the exact same alphabet. One is superficial, the other is extraordinary.
And honestly, this framework should be a massive relief. If you have been feeling exhausted, carrying the anxiety that you need to be instantly special or uniquely talented to have any value in the world,
This essay from Xu Feng gives you full permission to just stop performing.
you can take off the metaphorical business suit today. You can just chop the carrots.
You can just do the laundry or fill out the spreadsheet.
Yeah, you can focus entirely on the foundational tasks right in front of you, knowing that by doing them with care and excellence, you aren't ignoring your potential. You are actually building the only structure that can support it.
You do not need a magic trick to be great.
But, this raises a fascinating new question, and it is something I want to leave you to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Okay, what is it?
Well, if the author is right, and the extraordinary is just a profound mastery of the ordinary, does that mean the people we idolize as geniuses or the greats aren't actually fundamentally different from us?
Oh, that's a brilliant thought.
Right. Or are they just the rare few who simply never got bored of practicing the basics?
The people who just kept chopping the cabbage.
Exactly. Think about that the next time you find yourself standing in the kitchen, annoyed that you have to do the dishes. Maybe you aren't just cleaning plates. Maybe you are doing the essential human work of climbing the cliff.